Hi, this is a special announcement for the Dudley Toolwright channel to let you know that I'll be out at the Bar Z Bash this weekend. Starting, well, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think, or at least Friday, Saturday. I always show up on Saturday for part of the morning and early afternoon. It is a get-together hosted by Stan Zinkowski of Bar Z Industrial. His YouTube channel is Shade On HKW if you want to check it out. Every year, between 10 and 30 YouTuber creators show up there that are all in the machinist and fabrication community. So there's a lot of really cool people to talk to. And there's a bunch of, people that just like-minded interests, in creating things on their own that show up. So it's a lot of fun. There's lectures on welding, although this year there won't be because of a tragedy. They have tours of Standridge granite most years and some precision calibration places. Stan got a late start this year, so I don't know how much of that stuff's going on. But in typical years, there's all of that available. There's also a raffle, both online and in person, and there's sort of swap meet tables in the back, and there's just hanging out. There's also a competition, four-jaw chuck, how quickly you can get something aligned and how accurately you can get aligned in a four-jaw chuck. So all kinds of cool things to check out and a lot of really interesting people to talk to. Makes it a really good time. So if you can't make it there in person, they also have streaming. Again, check out Stan's channel. That's Shade On HKW, S-H-A-D-O-N HKW. Check out his channel. He's got a lot of interesting stuff going on there, and I think they live stream the entire bash, so you can talk to other people, or you can watch other people interact and hear a lot of what's going on. And in case you didn't know, Stan over at Bar Z Industrial also makes and sells these precision ground triangles. And you'll notice that there's a lip on one side of each side of the triangle, so you can line up the long way or the short way on something you're trying to set the triangle up against, and it will slide and butt up nicely. Again, they're precision ground, surface ground parts, and hardened. They're very nicely made, so go check those out as well. As long as I'm talking about really quick things, I have a follow-up on the T-handle, Icon T-handle hex key holders. So this was the design I made before that you saw, and the tools are pretty densely packed in here, and so they're tightly enough packed that they can't actually lean in towards the center like you'd kind of expect. So I iterated and came up with a couple of designs, although I think this is my favorite design, although I dropped it and broke the plastic because it is hollow. I need to make it thicker, although this was still a 12-hour print. So let me show you what improvements I've made. All right, so this is my first design, just a cylinder with a base. The base didn't need to be wider than the cylinder because this thing already is inherently stable. And it also has a lip inside just because I thought it would look nice, but again, not really necessary. Works pretty well. The keys are all very densely packed, but you can get to them without too much trouble. The next design approach was this tapered design where the keys go in at an angle, and that effectively makes the diameter larger so that you can have adjacent keys sitting next to each other and still be able to tilt in appropriately. However, I used the wrong line in my table, and I had to drill out the large size because they were all offset by one, so they were all the wrong size. And I didn't exactly like the really wide base on this, and I didn't like the way this tapered, so I came up with another design. The final design was this one, and it was a much more graceful taper to a curve at the bottom, which I thought looked nicer, and also the base wasn't as wide. This guy, all of the tools can face inwards. There's plenty of room because they're tilted back. And you've got some storage in the middle that I don't know quite what to do with. This one, I let it go to a sharp pointed cone. And this one I rounded off the bottom with circular area. This is the design I finally stuck with. These holes actually intersect, which prevents these guys from rotating, which was kind of funny because the holes actually intersect with each other, so I could modify the design and fix that. Also, I don't have to have round holes here. I could do hex-shaped holes and orient these keys in any direction I wanted so that they're always facing a certain direction, because all of these hex keys with the Icon brand have the point going facing the Allen key on the handle itself. If you'll notice there, I don't know if you can see that. So here's the sharp edge, one of the points, and it's directly in line with the Allen key. So I could have these all so they face in, even at an angle, so they're all pointing at a common point. That might be nice, but this is the design I ended up with. But I like the density of this design a little bit more. So they're both really good, and I don't know what to end up with, but I figured I'd just show you where it evolved to, and that's about it. One thing that might be interesting for you to note is that on this guy, to extrude the holes inside the cylindrical surface, you just create a sketch that's on the plane that's parallel to this top surface, and that's pretty easy, right? This guy, this plane is an ever-changing angular, it is not just one plane. Like you'll notice, if this is at one angle, by the time you're over here, this is tilted at a completely different angle. Every one of these facets, which is what you really should call them, even though it's a continuous surface here, is on a different plane. So what I had to do is create a sketch for each one of these hole positions, and I used the feature in Fusion 360 that allowed you to create a plane at a point and a surface. So I chose this surface, and how did I get the point here? What I did was, midway from here to here vertically, I created a wheel with spokes that came out and intersected the circle, this plane all the way around, which gave me a point that was right in the middle between the top and the bottom of each section here, and allowed me to pick my my sketch orientation that would be this plane at this point, and then each one of these holes would go the full depth towards the middle, which allowed me to go, you know, the keys are almost a foot long for the big ones, and I have these going 5.5 inches deep, and that goes all the way down to the center. If I reduced it to 5 inches, then these keys wouldn't intersect anymore, and that might be if I want to print another one of these, but they're massively time consuming to print, 12 to 16 hours depending. But in any case, I thought you might find it interesting solving the problem of how to extrude the holes at this surface was a little bit challenging. Maybe people that are more experienced with Fusion would find that trivial, but I had to ponder on it for a while. That's about it. I hope to see you at the Bar Z Bash. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time.